How many of you used Pear Deck before? Anybody use Pear Deck? Okay. All right. So it might be the first time for some of you. Here's what you have to do. Just go to peardeck.com/join, and you can do it on your phone too. Doesn't matter. Everybody has a Google Apps account, right? Your Gmail. So Pear Deck works perfectly with Gmail and Google Apps. Do all your students have Google Apps accounts? This will be a perfect model then, because you can use Pear Deck. So we'll kind of show a little bit of how to use it. Pear Deck, how many of you have used Nearpod? All right, so Pear Deck's a lot like Nearpod with some other kind of different features in it. But you'll start seeing immediately students joining, right? So if you're doing this in the classroom, you're using Pear Deck, you can kind of see as students get in, here's the call to action, and you can start seeing those numbers pop up. So if I kind of start, you'll notice that the join code is always on the bottom right. Okay, so say a student gets into class late, or you're doing this with somebody, you can go to peardeck.com/join, and then you can always say, hey, your join code's kind of down there, right? You can get to it right there. So if not everybody was in, you can get there. If somebody comes late, we can say, hey, go to peardeck.com/join, and get into the code right there. All right. Now, does everybody see what's on their screens? Does anybody have a phone out? Right? Is anybody using it with a phone? Yeah, so it's on your phone too. Right? So any device, it works with any device. It'll take exactly what's up here and put it on your device, but then there's a lot of different ways to interact, which we'll kind of go through as we're going through this presentation here. So I say technology changed because it actually just kind of really changed everything. And what I mean by that is we're sitting in here with our laptops and our cell phones, and it's changed completely from just 10 years ago, okay? This is a question that my daughter asked me the other day. She saw an old movie, right, from like 2005. And she was watching, she's like, what are they doing with their phones? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, it just keeps flipping up and down. And I realized in that minute that she had never seen a flip phone before, all right? So she's like, were you alive? Like she's trying to figure out how long ago flip phones existed, because in her mind, it's archaic, right? She doesn't understand what it is. And I'm like, yeah, people didn't have a touchscreen. They had to press real buttons. And she's like, is it like that play phone that our 1.5-year-old? I'm like, yes, exactly like that play phone. I think it was an old phone, right? Yeah. But the kids that are in our school right now, you think about it, right? My daughter, who's in 2nd grade, she's never lived without voice assistance. She doesn't know what it was like to not ask a device a question and get an answer. Anybody teach kindergarten, 1st grade? They don't know what a mouse is, do they? Right? You bring them to like a computer lab or something like that, they're like, what's going on here? What's this thing? What's this tool that we have here? But these are things that like we take for granted that our kids completely don't even realize, right? So when did the iPad first come out? Well, we could figure out real quickly. How can we figure out?
Ask Siri.
Let's ask Siri.
April 3rd, 2010.
Oh, it's even quicker. All right. Think about that. 2010. Does it not feel like it's been like decades? 7. We just had the 7-year anniversary of the iPad. Okay? So that every one of my kids has lived with an iPad. They don't know what it's like not to have an iPad. What about the iPhone? When did that come out? I'm waiting over here for our research guru. What? 2007? 10 years. They were just saying that at the Apple WWDC, whatever it's kind of called, the announcement. 10 years. Think about that. Can you imagine going back on a BlackBerry? A little sidekick, flipping that thing up? What about a Razor? It's so skinny. Everybody, oh yeah. We had the Razor. Uh-huh. Anybody have the Nextel Chirp Chirp? Remember that? No? Nobody had that? Chirped aside? Talk to people? It was real annoying? No? I had one. I think I had two, actually. But the pace is so quick, right? There's all this different technology and how fast it turns that we ourselves don't even realize how quickly we adapt to it. We think that we are slow to change, but actually we're really quick at changing, right? Was anybody teaching when email first came on the scene? Okay. Like, what did you do before email?
Notes in your box.
Notes, memos, and you picked up a phone to call somebody?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was talking to a group of teachers at my school, and I was literally asking them because I started teaching when email was already out there. And I said, what did you think when email came? And they said, we had no use for it. They're like, well, we're not checking my email. Now all we do is check email, correct? Like, it's not real unless it's in an email. We're like, well, I didn't see that announcement that you said at the faculty meeting. I didn't get an email about it. Did anybody get an email about it, right? It's like, it's only truth if it's in an email. And we live our lives kind of based on that. I remember when text messages came out. Was alive for that. I thought it was so stupid. It's like, what am I going to text somebody? I remember my cousin from England coming over and saying, like, everybody texts. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, in London, everybody just texts each other. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I got this Nokia, I'm just playing Snake on it, right? Why would I text somebody when I could play Snake? But those things change so quickly. Now it's on everybody's texting, right? These apps that come out too, like Facebook that came out. I remember when Facebook came out and I begged my friend who went to Stanford for their email address to get on because it was only at certain colleges. Okay? And all the parents everywhere were like, Facebook's the devil. It's the worst thing ever. Why would I ever use it? And now the only people on Facebook are parents. Correct?
Yes.
Okay? I remember Instagram came out. That's so stupid. There's just pictures. Now everybody's on Instagram. Watch what you say about Snapchat.
I know. I'm about to.
Watch what you say because it's the same exact thing over and over again. Oh, Snapchat, why would I do that? That's so stupid. Watch. My mom and dad are on Snapchat now because they know that their kids are on Snapchat and they know pictures of their grandkids are on Snapchat. So they're going to be on Snapchat. We change extremely quickly, don't we? And we go from like 0 to 100. We go from that stupid that'll never work to, oh yeah, I do it every day. So as we kind of think about this journey of using technology for a purpose in our classroom, I think we need to just be very cognizant of the fact that we always change. And we always will change, right? It's just kind of our nature as human beings. But a lot of times technology is seen as a tool, okay? And technology is also seen as a space. Technology used to be an event, right? Everybody remember saying, let's go to the computer lab? Some of you may still do that, right? Technology was like, we are going to move these turtles around the screen. We're going to play Oregon Trail. Yeah. Or it was like, you're going to handwrite all this stuff and we're going to the computer lab and you're going to have to take all your things and type it. Uh-huh. Okay. Think about how technology as a space has transformed. I remember when AOL Instant Message came out.
That's how I learned to type. I didn't
Seriously?
know how until then.
Because you had a reason to.
Yes. And then I went to college and all my friends were like doing it all over the place.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
You had to have
speedy.
you had really good away messages,
Yeah.
right? That's what everybody's checking for.
Yes.
Yeah. You could like hide yourself sometimes. AOL Instant Message was kind of the first texting, but it was the first time that I realized that technology was a space. There now was this online space. We now have all kinds of spaces, right? Facebook is almost like a sovereign nation, right? It has billions of people in it, but it's a space where we live and communicate. So is Twitter. So are different types of places. These two things used to be different, right? You used to have social conversations with people, and then there was the media. And what we did with the media is we consumed the media. We watched TV, correct? We read the newspaper, That's how we consume media, right? We listen to the radio. There was no interaction with the media. We just were, whatever they put out, we were taking in. Now, it's completely combined. Every single news story is about a tweet that somebody sent out. Correct? And then a follow-up tweet. And then there's a tweet about that news story about a tweet. And the cycle continues. But there is connective power when you talk about how we use technology, and there is creative power. We're kind of getting into that a little bit. To bust us out of this model, right? Which we talked about a little bit for those of you in the session yesterday, the industrial model, which is we just come to school to be compliant. One of the things that we don't do often with technology is experiment as much. And I'm going to go through these 7 stages with you, and I'm going to have you answer some different types of questions. But the first question I want to ask, and I'm going to show you kind of how Pear Deck works right here, is, all right, I can hit right here, ask new questions, and I can ask a question right here and give a long text answer. Everybody see their screens? Okay. So I'm going to ask this question. When's the last time you experimented with technology? What did you use it for? So go ahead, write your answer in there. And this doesn't have to be in the classroom either, right? It could be like you just jumped on Snapchat for the first time and you experimented with it. When's the last time you experimented with technology? What did you use it for? So in Pear Deck, we can then take all those answers, we can project it right on the screen. It'll also save all those answers. And at the end of the session, when I close it out, you'll get all your responses that you write throughout this whole session, kind of as notes, slide by slide. If you go to a dashboard, I could open it up in a new tab here. A lot of times I'll just have the dashboard on my phone if this is on kind of my computer running right here. And you see everybody's name, right? I can, what happens to your screen there? Right, if I go back to the presentation session, I would just highlight that one student's response, right? I can also, Judy, bad Judy, writing bad stuff about Snapchat. I can hide Judy's response too, okay? You can do a lot of stuff on the back end with it. And a lot of times I'll have that on my phone just to see stuff, and if there's somebody messing around, you press it. But yeah, you are able to do that. I won't hide your response, Judy. So you look at some of these, right? Introducing kids to a new app, create a Snapchat account to see my friend's new restaurant in Chicago. This same thing. Allowed students to experiment with Ozobots. They're fun. Apps to identify peaks on the front range. Ozobots, marketing our school, Google Mystery Skype, class in Iowa. I used Lyft for the first time a few weeks ago. How many of you use Lyft and Uber? Okay. Legitimately, 5 years ago, it was don't talk to strangers online. Don't get in a car with strangers. And now we summon strangers to our house in a car and get in with them. And we're okay with it, right? But I think doing that, and you're more and more, right? I remember we finally got my parents to use Uber for the first time. And they were blown away. We got them to use Airbnb for the first time. And they were blown away. And I was blown away the first time I used it too. Because you just tap 2 buttons and somebody comes to your house. And you don't have to pull cash out or swipe a card. There's no tip. You're awkward. I don't know if I want to give this cabbie a tip, right? It's just go. My brother's an Uber driver. He works full time and then he drives Uber on the weekends, right? So if you look at all these different ones that people are saying, most of them, you're trying because they are meaningful or relevant to your life. But you want to see other people are doing it. We see other people doing it. We have conversations with other people that are doing it, and then we try it. Now, did you need professional development on Snapchat? You needed to talk to somebody. Did you need PD on Lyft? No? Because quite honestly, I work with teachers all the time because I have lots of teachers in my district. And whenever we do something new, the biggest thing that they want is PD. Correct? Is that right? But all these different types of things that we just talked about, an iPhone, smartphones, going from flip phones to that, using the tablet for the first time, all those, using email for the first, all those different types of things. We are really good learners, aren't we? I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for being really good learners. We want PD normally because we're scared. Correct? We're scared we're not going to learn fast enough. We're scared we're going to look like fools in front of our kids or in front of our staff. And fear is what drives a lot of that want. Now, I'm not saying PD is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. Not at all. I'm just saying PD most of the time is to the benefit when it's teachers teaching teachers, right? When you're learning from your peers. And when it's meaningful and relevant to you at that time. You needed a ride somewhere. Okay? Right? That drove what you were doing. Students also need to figure this stuff out. Okay? Because they aren't digital natives, they're consumer natives. A lot of what they do with their phone is consuming. Right? Students need to have us show them how to make videos. Students need to have us show them how to write blogs. Now, they can pick it up extremely quickly, right? Think about Destin with the bike. His kid maybe needed his help a little bit of how to get started riding that backwards bike, correct? But then how fast did his kid pick it up? Quickly. Our students still need a push from us, a guide on the side. So here are the 7 different stages in the technology journey. I'm going to ask you to do some different things, but I really want you to be reflective in this practice of thinking where you are along the journey. Okay? So stage 1, isolationism. All right? I'm just going to tell you right now that you are going to think of specific people in your head as we go through these stages. That's okay. All right? It's going to be normal to judge. I'm just letting you know. Don't feel bad about yourself, okay? Because you'll be like, oh, that's going to be so-and-so. All right? Isolationism. Technology sucks. Here's what people at stage 1 believe is that technology gets in the way of real learning. Everybody's like, yeah, I knew that person. Maybe you are that person. Social media is dangerous. These people really believe that social media is dangerous. And can it be dangerous? Yes. Can it be empowering and awesome too? Yes. Okay, pencils are dangerous. All right? Like we give every kid a weapon in school, and we're okay with that. Sharpen your weapon, okay? By the way, that was one of the early things about pencils. I don't know if you ever look at how pencils made their way into education. People were afraid of them because of stabbing. So devices are distracting from real learning. You can't learn when you got a device in front of your face, right? This is kind of stage 1. I did just fine in school without a computer. Oh, yeah. Why do we need these things? I did fine. This is kind of stage 1 here. Why bother using it if the internet goes down? I heard it went down a couple days ago. All right? But this is last day of school, was it?
In the middle of our presentation.
But these are real things, right? And this is a real perspective. Here's what we can't do, though. And there might be people in stage 1 here, and that's fine. Here's what you can't do. You can't judge these people in stage 1. They're just there because of their experiences with technology. They maybe had something happen where they saw somebody use social media in a dangerous way or heard a story. They may have tried something one time and the internet stopped working. People are in these stages because of their experiences, correct? The dominant mindset of a stage 1 person is pessimism, fear, and anger. They're pessimistic about what technology can do. They're fearful of it kind of changing what they've always done. And they're angry that they have to even worry about it now. So how do we get somebody out of this stage? Okay? How do you get somebody out of this stage? I want you to do a pair share where you're talking to the person next to you, and then I'm going to do a short answer question up here, and after you kind of give an example of how to get people out of the stage, I want you to put it up there. So go ahead, talk with somebody. I want to make the comment that before using Pear Deck, before using this technology, I would ask this question in sessions, and I'd have people either jot it down, and then they'd talk to each other, and then I'd have to have people volunteer their answers. And maybe we'd hit like 3 groups. Notice how the technology allows everybody to participate and get their answer up there in an extremely short amount of time, right? And you can go through those answers very quickly. Maybe somebody's shy, they don't want to share their answer and raise their hand. We have tons of kids like this in class. But using technology like this makes it anonymous, correct? And allows them to feel comfortable putting it up there. And it also happens quickly, right? So if I'm looking at some of these, I got coaching, being a mentor, invite them into your classroom. It's an awesome one. Hey, come and see what we're doing. Coach them again, show them step by step. Experimentation, they need to see it in action. I agree. Pique their interest. Practice, support, give purpose, show success. Continuously model it, give them opportunities. Positive experiences, immerse them in it, give them a quick and easy win. I love that one. I think the best way to get people out of stage 1 is to give them a quick win. And that quick win needs to make their life easier. It needs to save them time. Down the path, you can give them wins that are going to empower and engage their students. But right off the bat, getting people to kind of believe that technology has a place in education, give them a quick win that can help save them time, help them be more efficient. That's always a really good way to start. Coach them, show them how it could benefit them, tap into their interests. It's a good point. Find purpose, show them something is useful, right? Quick win, immerse them in it. I'm not going to ask you to pair share this, but what happens if you try to force them to use technology? Everybody's laughing like they've tried. What happens? Total resistance. Okay? And what you do is you ruin relationships. Don't force people to do stuff, especially your colleagues. All right, stage 2. Stage 2 is awareness. Okay? Maybe technology can help a few aspects of learning. What would happen if we tried blogging instead of just notebooks? This person is curious. They're cautiously optimistic, and they're still a little skeptical about the whole thing. These folks have kind of realized that technology could help, but they aren't sure of the whole power, right? They aren't there yet. Stage 3, tourism. Tourists. See if you know somebody like this. You may be like this. I was definitely like this for years and years. Technology as a learning event or a reward. Let's go to the computer lab. Field trip. Every time, let's use the iPads today. Let's use the Chromebooks. Let's do something that's different from what we normally do because technology is different from what we normally do. When we are done with our unit, we'll do a small tech project. We're going to learn the way we always learn, and then for 4 days, 3 days, you're going to have a project. And then we're going to go back to learning the way we always learn. Every Friday, I allow my students to play math games. Or what I did, you ever seen the website Free Rice? I love Free Rice. If you finish early, you can go on Free Rice. It's like a vocabulary and grammar, really quick fire, multiple choice practice. And it donates, every answer you get correctly, it donates rice to third world countries. It's pretty cool, but that was like my go-to. You finish early, Free Rice for you. Get on there, go help the world and learn some vocab. Question again here, were you ever in this techno-tourism stage, and what was it like? Another pair share, talk to the people around you and then respond up on the screen. All right, growing up, my teachers were tourists. Now, when you're in scarcity mode with technology, you almost have to be a tourist, right? It's like if there's one computer lab in the school or one computer in the classroom, it's kind of hard to not be a tourist, correct? So sometimes, given how much technology you have, also kind of dictate where you fall in this. So I think that it was a good day to go to the computer lab and play Oregon Trail. I agree, right? Killing buffalo, getting, what is it, dysentery? How do you pronounce that? Dysentery. Always got me. Limited access to device to all students. Yep. Limited knowledge of how to give purpose and a bounce. Much of my experience in this stage was based on limited access. So everybody's kind of talking about that. Booking lab time in English class to type essays. Yes, I did that as well. There was no time to be a tourist because we used it so much. We only had one computer. Yep. I think we all fluctuate in stages. Very good point. All right, and we'll kind of go through the next stages because I think we do fluctuate in stages. Stage 4, assimilation. And notice, we're not saying which of these stages is better, okay? Technology-based learning. I'm going completely paper this year. I use technology for everything because it's the best. These people love Twitter. Okay, I've been there, all right? But you get wrapped up, right? Like you get wrapped up into new technologies and seeing the power of it, whether to connect or communicate or to do things with your students, it becomes everything you do. They're curious, they're definitely optimistic, and they're excited. But what's the danger in going 100% tech-based? We're going to go not tech-based for this answer. Share it out. What's the danger of going 100% tech-based? The internet going down? Huge danger. Losing foundational skills? Screen time. We keep seeing all different types of new research pop up around a lot of these different things. They're finally being able to study effects because it's kind of been around long enough. I think we're still in the early on stages. But I think the biggest danger is that our world isn't 100% tech-based, is it? So school shouldn't be, right? I'll say that statement again. If school is meant to prepare you for the real world, why doesn't it look like the real world? Is there technology in the real world? Yes. Is it ubiquitous? Do we use it? Yes. But it's not everything we do, correct? We have lots of face-to-face conversations. We have to know how to talk to people and be in a social space. We have to be able to do things with our hands, right? There's all different types of things. We have to be resourceful if things stop working, which happens all the time as teachers. So folks that are kind of in stage 4 get really excited about technology, and I think sometimes we just kind of say, hey, that's great. I'm excited that you're using it for really great purposes, but it can't be used for everything. Stage 5, culture shock. This is what happens. Okay, technology failed to change the learning. This is the place where you're using technology for everything, and then you're like what happened? I feel like my kids aren't learning better. It used to take a day to do this, and now it takes 4 days to do this, right? It turns out a book is a pretty good mobile device. It can move around. It's reliable. I thought my students were supposed to be digital natives. Why don't they know how to do this? Why is it taking so much time? And this becomes kind of almost like kind of a downer where you're like, I thought technology was supposed to open up all these avenues, and yet things are just taking way too long, and things are breaking, and you kind of get that culture shock feeling. This is disappointment, frustration, pessimism. A different type than stage 1, right? But there's lots of people that fall into this when different things happen. The internet goes down, something stops working, and all of a sudden you're like, a project doesn't go as planned. When Elvis came along, you couldn't change the fact that kids were going to start dancing and shaking their hips. I'm serious. Right? When TV came along, it was, you're watching way too much TV. That was the escapism. But nowadays, ABC, NBC, CBS, those networks that had so much of our cultural attention, now that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. That's where people are getting their news, that's where they're getting their media, that's where they're communicating, and that's their escapism. It's all those different things. The only thing ABC, CBS, and NBC didn't have was the connecting part. But they had the media part, they had the news part, they had the escapism part, correct? We can't change it though. Right? There's no, and I think a lot of times when we talk to people, I don't know if you saw that Simon Sinek video on millennials. Did anybody see that? And kind of made the rounds. And he was kind of saying millennials, they have, but it's a reality, right? Like it's not going away. We're not going to take all the phones away from kids. It's not going to happen, right? Snapchat's not going to go away or those different types of things. And as teachers, I feel like a lot of these situations that you guys are talking about, those are the teachable moments. When we can help guide students to make choices and talk and have conversations, but a lot of times we don't have conversations about it, do we? This is a conversation make sure you have with your colleagues. Technology is not going to fix education. It can do some really awesome things, but it's not like a silver bullet. It just isn't. It's just what our life is right now. That's why it has to be part of what we do. We're going to talk about some really cool ways that kids can use it for a purpose. And the more we can show students how to use it with a purpose, the more they will. That's the big piece that I want to get to. Is that if we let them use it for a real learning purpose, a creative purpose in school, they are going to use it for a more learning purpose and creative purpose outside of school. Because some of them don't even know it exists. They don't even know that you can do really creative and powerful things on the device. Stage 6, integration. Okay? Integration of technology. What's the best way to use this tool? Also, what's the best tool to use for this activity? Also, should I use a tool? Right? What kind of learning do I want to see? Starting with that as the question, not I want to use WordPress. I want to use it. What kind of learning do I want to see? And then, is there a tool that will help students demonstrate that learning and understanding? Very curious, but it's normalcy, right? This is kind of built into your everyday work as a teacher and students, and it becomes part of what normal learning looks like, just like it's out in our world as the way we normally interact with people. Question for all of you is, how do you decide when to use technology? When is your criteria? I want you to pair share again and put it up here. I'm really interested to hear your responses on this, of what your criteria is of when to use technology. So go ahead, chat with each other, then put it up.
I think we use it a lot to share information with kids that put it.
All right, make sure you put it up there, what your criteria is, if you have criteria. So I kind of like these two right here, which is use it to share information with kids that they wouldn't be able to read or access on their own, for kids to use to share what they have learned. Think about time constraints. Will it help student engagement? Will it help my grading, SAMR? How beneficial it would be, save time and energy, not a babysitter. Ooh. I remember when we went one-to-one in my school, when I was a teacher like 8, 9 years ago. We were one of the first districts in Pennsylvania. And then I moved into a tech coaching role, like a tech staff developer role. And I would just walk around. It was the first time I actually got out of my classroom. And I would see like lots of other teachers teach. And I would see a teacher sitting at their desk while all the kids were on their laptops. And we started to come up with a term for it called a teenage pacifier. Because you had annoying teenagers in your class, but if you let them use the computers, then they shut up. Ooh. It's real. Right. Yeah. But then I could see it as a parent too. I mean, restaurants, you see kids on iPads, on phones, but I've done it before. It's my 3-year-old screaming, crying. I'm like, here, watch Barney or something. Yeah. Be quiet. And then he's quiet. I think we just have to be mindful about it, right? Like you have to realize, just kind of talk to that group, like, are we doing it because it's easy for us? Are we using technology? You get to a certain spot where you're really good with tech and it can make your life easier, but is it still the right thing to do? Or is it just a teenage pacifier or younger kid pacifier? My 3-year-old pacifier. And like, I'm not proud of doing that, but I also, given the situation, probably would do it again, even though I know I shouldn't do it, right? Like, I realize it's not a good thing to give my 3-year-old a phone, but it's the easy thing to do, and in the moment of frustration, we often turn to the easy thing to do, right? So we just kind of have to be mindful about that and be open about it and have conversations about it. Quite honestly, once our staff started talking about laptops as teenage pacifiers, and everybody got a good joke out of it, people stopped doing it as much. I remember the faculty meeting where we started talking about it and we had a picture of a baby with a pacifier and a laptop. And we just opened up the dot and we had serious conversations about it. And people were then mindful. And I think that's what we have to do. Things about screen time. And we have to be mindful about those things. Purposeful enhancing. I have a few. When it's purposeful, when it increases engagement, collaborative environment, and when it inspires creativity. So stage 7, last stage here. Citizenship. They use technology wisely, right? These teachers use technology wisely, with purpose, with meaning. How is technology reshaping what it means? They're having conversations about, so we live in a society where kids are addicted to their phones. What does that mean, right? What does it mean now? Not what can I do to stop it, but how can we have conversations and use it with purpose and do those different types of things? What are the pros and cons of inhabiting a digital world, right? Are there some times where we're going to take purposeful breaks from technology in my class because I want to give you different experiences that you would never have given your circumstances? You think about some of the kids in your class, right? I know some of my students. We went one-to-one. Kids would go home and their parents weren't home. They were working. They're just watching videos, watching shows. That's what they were doing it the whole time, coming to school. I remember a couple of our kids coming in and not bringing in their laptops and trying to figure out why they're not bringing it in. Their parents were using it for resume writing because they didn't have a device. So what does it mean? Like, what are the pros and cons of doing things in different ways? How can we harness the creative and connective potential of this? And that's really the key, which is we know they're the most powerful creation device that we've ever had, the most powerful connective and communicative and collaborative device that we've ever had, right? In our pockets, right in front of us. How do we harness that? Instead of just using it as a pacifier, or instead of getting angry when things don't work. How do we harness that? That is stage 7, consistently answering that question. Stage 7 are curious, they're skeptical, optimistic. They kind of know that it's not the end-all be-all, that there are some pros and cons. They realize that, but they're excited towards the type of learning that can happen, right? Why, and I'm not going to ask you to put it up on the screen, but I just want to hear, why is it so important that we give people the permission to be in different stages of this journey? We talk about personalized learning with students all the time, don't we? But then with teachers, you're not allowed. If you just think about the last thing that you learned, chances are it had some meaning to you, right? It's always been personal. So people are where they are on these journeys. Would it be great if everybody was at citizenship? Is that what we're aiming for? Yeah, right? We would like everybody to get to citizenship. Are some people going to take multiple years to get there and other people just take a couple months? Yes. That's the way it is. Nobody's on the same path. As we kind of look at that, I want to bring this part up again. You can't get to citizenship unless you try things, though. Like, you can't use technology wisely and know the pros and cons of things unless you're using it. You can't speak to how Snapchat is a good or bad thing unless you're using it. I talked to every single guidance counselor in my district. 8 weeks ago. We had a kid commit suicide. A lot of the blame was put on that TV show, 13 Reasons Why. Anybody watch it? Okay. So I had watched it because I love Netflix, and also I like being in the know. So I watched it, and it was obviously a fast-paced, entertaining show. It hit hard on a couple parts, but I watched as adults from every shape came out of the woodwork with opinions on something that they did not watch. I watched as we went to litigation because of things that people were accusing you as a school district or a teacher, and they didn't even have any experience in it. I see this all the time with technology. We say Snapchat is stupid. We say Instagram is a waste of time. We say all these things, and yet we don't try it. We say kids having their own YouTube channel is dangerous. We say, I would never want kids to have comments on their blog. Like, we do all these things, but we don't try it, right? So if you don't experiment, then you can't really have a say, correct? That's what I'm kind of calling you to do kind of the last hour of this, is to experiment. Here's the problem, though, is that most people, when they experiment with way too many things at one time. Like, you come to a conference like this and you get all these really good ideas, don't you? You're in all these sessions, like, that sounds cool, that's awesome, and then you're like, I'm overwhelmed, and you just do breadth, right? You take like 10 minutes for each thing, and then you never actually kind of get into it. I'd like you to try something today that maybe you learned at some point in time this year in a PD, or you saw another teacher use. I want you to try to get into some type of technology today that is actually going to change an assessment, change an activity that you're going to do for next year, change a faculty meeting that you're going to do if you're a school leader. What's your back to school going to look like for your teachers? Do they all got to sit in an auditorium and let you go over step by step all the things that they hear every single year? Or can we use technology to improve that? Serious, right? Can you use something else besides a PowerPoint to deliver information? What might that look like? But if you don't experiment, we never can get to stage 7, right? We never can get to citizenship. And if we don't share, we never can get there either. So chances are somebody in this classroom has a tool that they've been using for quite some time that would really work for you in your classroom. But if we don't talk about it, you would never know, right? And teachers, by profession, we're very isolated. We're in a classroom all day. Even though we have people all around us, we're like the most isolated people with people all around us, right? We never get out and about, even though there's like 20-some kids in front of us, and there's teachers all up and down the hall. There's some of you in here that are coaches. There's some of you in here that are administrators. You walk through hundreds of classrooms each year, seeing great things. How do we share that with people? How do we let people know what they don't know, right? So we do have some good people in here, some of your strategists, some of your different coaches, some of the different people. I would talk to them as well. What I really want you to do is you have 50 minutes, and I want you to dig into a tool that you can use in your classroom, all right? I don't care if you do it by yourself. I don't care if you do it with a partner and you're working with somebody, but I want you to try something. I want you to experiment, and I want you to get into it enough where you may be able to do it over the summer and try something. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to use because that would kind of be wrong. But I do want to kind of give some things that you possibly could use, all right? Some examples of what you could use. So Pear Deck is one, right? Transforms your presentations that you already have. I showed you, this was an on-the-fly Pear Deck, which is, I did all the questions on the fly, but you can build a Pear Deck just like you build a PowerPoint and embed the questions inside of each slide. The different types of questions that you can ask. You can ask, drag a dot on an image question. So every screen will have a dot, and they can drag it to where they want to showcase something. They can draw. It's perfect for math classes, science classes, because you can draw on the screen. You can agree or disagree. thumbs up, thumbs down. You can draw on just a blank screen. You can do multiple choice. You could do a numeric answer, and obviously the long text and short text answer. So Pear Deck would be one, and I would say that that tool is if you're looking to transform your presentations that you use, okay? If you are looking to transform your assessments, the tool that I want you to kind of dive into, and again, you don't have to take any of my recommendations if you already have something. I just want to give you some. The tool that I'd want you to check out for assessments is GoFormative. Anybody use this? The thing that's cool about GoFormative is you could take, say you have like a quiz on Microsoft Word or PDF. You can upload it and transform it straight in GoFormative. All right? So you don't have to recreate it. You get to see, as a teacher, exactly what all the kids in your class are writing or drawing. My math teachers love GoFormative. And you can grade it right on the fly. You see how they just hit it and they put a little comment and they graded it right on the fly. So really good for transforming assessments. Okay? We got two there. You know what it is? I think it's like Kahoot's fun, right? How many of you have done Kahoot? This is like super meaningful. Kahoot's fun. It gets kids engaged. This is great for a feedback tool and great for taking something you already have. Love GoFormative for those purposes. Has anybody used Flipgrid? Flipgrid is all video based. So it's kids answering questions with videos, you putting out questions with videos, short assessments with videos. It's an awesome way to do it. And basically what happens is you build these different kind of grids. You can embed it into any website, any LMS. I'll show you kind of a picture here of what responses look like. And you can get video responses, audio responses from kids, and you can grade it right there. You can have rubrics in there, all different types of stuff. But it's really cool in terms of classroom discussion, collaborative type work, different ways to have communication. If you're looking to flip your classroom, all right, Blendspace is now TES Teach. All right, so it's tes.com/lessons. It's a fantastic tool to flip your lesson and to give students the content they can get at home or on their phones or any of those different types of things as well. The other ones might be specific to your content or area, right? But I kind of wanted to just give you four to jump on if you wanted to jump on. These are ones that my teachers really like, right? So I'm using them as an example of they've tried lots of different things. These four, they love, all right? They use all the time, especially Pear Deck and GoFormative, right? They use that a lot. But I would say jump onto something, try to use a tech tool, and work with each other. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the 45 minutes.